I'll be frank, we're all learning right now in terms of we have the system design of the past and design you're going to need in the future, where you have all forms of distributed generation on the network. And we're all learning about what are the most efficient ways to design the system to do that. And I'm not an engineer by trade, but in talking to our team, it's a very complex issue, and one that we're quite frankly learning on the fly as we go through this. And I think this is not unique to Maine and other states.
What is Avangrid's view of distributed generation as a resource when shortages occur? A generation can be aggregated too, I suppose. And to that, and in connection with that, what does that mean to Avangrid in terms of being willing to contribute to the cost, to cover the cost of grid improvement, distribution grid improvement?
So our overall position on just renewables and distributed forms of generation as a whole is we truly believe that if as a nation and as a world, if we're really going to transition to a carbon neutral economy, that we need to utilize every available technology we have. We can't rely on any one technology. There's too much reliance today on fossil fuels that it just requires us to think out of the box, and there's going to be a role, I think, for everything. And your point around batteries, we're doing a lot of work now through Iberdrola on hydrogen. So all of these need to be, a part of the solution. My point would just be that all of them have their pros and cons. They are many of them intermittent resources, right? And so from a system planning perspective, we really need to think through how, as a country and as a globe, we're going to do this. And we view it as very important from a planning perspective that we consider all of those. I'll give you an example. In New England, I've mentioned this project, NECEC, which is the large transmission project from Quebec into New England, where we will bring in 1,200 megawatts of firm hydropower electricity. We need to, as we transition, think about what do we have as resources that can be available when the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow. And that's where, to your point, Commissioner, storage is going to play a really important aspect of this, as will things like hydroelectric power, quite frankly, remaining nuclear plants, which is a clean energy source, although it has its own issue with respect to the spent fuel that some have concerns about. But the bottom line is we are absolutely committed to decarbonizing. We're absolutely committed to looking at all forms of renewable resources and how we can make all of this work. But the key, I think, to your point, is that it's going to require as well a tremendous investment in the grid, because the grid was not designed and built to show and have these two-way flows. So that is a very big piece of this, and kind of goes back to the initial part of our discussion. Something that we're working on now in Maine and other states are working on as it relates to distributed forms.